So it looks like Liverpool are going to sign Darwin Nunez from Benfica this summer. Why him, and what can we expect from him in a Liverpool shirt? Let's discuss that today, as well as finding out how FM22 predicts that he is going to do when he joins Liverpool. Let's get into it. With Sadio Mane edging towards the exit door at Liverpool this summer, and with Bobby Firmino not getting any younger, and even Mo Salah moving into the final year of his contract, that famous Liverpool front three, well, it seems to be breaking up. But as has always been the way in football, when players move on, a new guard will form. With Luis Diaz joining in January and coming in and being sensational for Liverpool, it looks like the latest recruit is going to be Darwin Nunez from Benfica. In today's video, we're going to look at why Liverpool have chosen Darwin Nunez to lead their line for next season. We'll look at some of the stats from last season, and then also we'll do a little bit of a simulation in FM22. We'll find out how the game predicts he's going to get on at Liverpool. Before we do get into the video, Lenny wanted to ask you to subscribe to the channel, and now you can't not, can you? So we're also very close to 20,000 subscribers, so if you haven't already, you need to. And remember, that's not me asking, it's Lenny, isn't it, mate? Lenny. See? Here he is then. I've brought Darwin Nunez to Liverpool in FM22. I've stuck him into the side for next year. I've moved Mane onto Bayern Munich. As far as I'm concerned, Nunez is the future. I've put him through the middle here, look, with Diaz to his left, Mo Salah to the right in this new look front three at Liverpool. And I've got to say, as much as I love Sadio Mane, and I will continue to love Sadio Mane, I'm looking at this front three, and it is quite exciting now, isn't it? Whether he can do it in the Premier League, we'll discuss that today. But just looking at it on paper, and if we click on Nunez's profile here, I think straight away you can see some of the reasons why Liverpool have chosen to bring him to the club this summer, and specifically why Jurgen Klopp has chosen to bring him to Liverpool this summer. Straight away, it stands out, right? You're looking at the pace, you're looking at the height, you're looking at the finishing ability. We're going to go into those reasons in a lot more detail in this video before finally setting up that simulation where we look at how his career goes in FM22 for the next 5 years. Let's move into those reasons why I think Darwin Nunez is Klopp's man. Reason number one, physicality and height. If you look at Darwin Nunez, he's physically quite imposing. He's 6'2" and he's decent in the air. I watched all 34 of Darwin Nunez's Benfica goals from last season, and as well as having a lovely time watching that compilation, I noticed just how good he seems to be in the air. He scored 6 headers last season, and whilst you think, is that a lot of headers? Actually compare that to Sadio Mane, who I think you'd probably all consider to be Liverpool's best header of a ball in those attacking positions, at least from the players that regularly start. Sadio Mane scored 3 headed goals last season, so obviously that's twice as many for Nunez, and I think this could be something that is quite important in Klopp's thinking for next year. Of course, Liverpool's attack hasn't been the tallest over recent years. I mentioned Sadio Mane, who is excellent in the air, and also you could probably throw in Diogo Jota into that too, who is surprisingly springy, but the aerial offence hasn't ever been a priority. But with Sadio Mane leaving the club, and also I think most importantly here, Divock Origi also leaving Liverpool, I think that lack of aerial threat could genuinely become a little bit of a problem. That's where Darwin Nunez comes in. Being able to change to a more aerial approach might seem overly simplistic and even a little bit Mike Bassett, but Liverpool fans, I feel like you can relate to this feeling of frustration of having no tangible plan B to bring off the bench. I just think about the Champions League final, not having Divock Origi on that bench. That game was crying out for a Divock Origi substitution. His ability to just disrupt things in the air, it changes games, it makes things happen, and I think, but just looking at the profile of Darwin Nunez here, the fact that he's 6'2", the fact that he plays in quite a physical manner, I think those are ticking all the boxes for Jurgen Klopp here, and I think that's one of the main reasons why he will look to Darwin Nunez to be his guy this summer. The second reason that I think he is a perfect player for Klopp this summer is his finishing. Now, I'm looking at his profile in FM22 here. He's got 14 finishing. I think we might see a big bump to that for FM23. I'm thinking maybe 15, 16, maybe 17 finishing for Darwin Nunez next year, because this guy, he just has that feeling about him where he feels like he's going to score goals. I'm going to make the first reference here to the Champions League game at Anfield between Liverpool and Benfica, because this is where I think I saw for the first time, actually Darwin Nunez might well be the real deal, and I think Jurgen Klopp maybe saw that firsthand as well. And that, by the way, is not something to be sniffed at here. I think there's a bit of a track record where players play well against Liverpool or play well against Jurgen Klopp, and he decides, I'm going to sign that guy. I think of Takumi Minamino in the Champions League a couple of seasons ago, and then, of course, Liverpool Liverpool went and signed him. Actually, during that Salzburg game with Minamino playing so well at Anfield, we did see another striker playing up front for Salzburg that day. A certain Erling Haaland played up front. And just thinking back to that game, I actually get a lot of Erling Haaland vibes from Darwin Nunez. Maybe it's the height, maybe it's the way he sort of carries himself, but I think mostly it's that finishing. Just like Haaland was at Anfield a few years ago, Darwin Nunez looked like he was going to finish everything that came his way. He actually scored a really nice finish, opening up his body, putting it into the far corner in that game. He also did score a couple of goals that were ruled out for offside, and I just remember thinking, this guy can finish. This guy is going to score goals, and I think when Klopp saw that, I think that's a big reason as to why he thought, let's look at this guy in a little bit more detail. I think I might want to sign him in the future. On his finishing, there's another reason why I think Liverpool would have looked at him and thought, this guy is our man. And that's his XG in the Portuguese league last year. He ended up on an XG of 15.73, but he scored 26 goals. Now, is this actually that he's just been a little bit lucky and these things will level out? Or actually, is this guy just a sensational finisher who can outscore his XG, which is exactly what Liverpool need? I'm thinking back to last season at Liverpool. I actually think they were quite profligate in front of goal. When Mo Salah's numbers fell off for the second half of the season, Sadio Mane had to step up to the plate a little bit. He was nowhere near outscoring his XG in a way that Darwin Nunez managed to do last season. Now, maybe we need to mention that this is in the Portuguese league. I'm sure that people will mention that when you're thinking about, is Darwin Nunez going to be a good player for Liverpool? But actually, I think of Luis Diaz here, and I actually think Liverpool and their recruitment team have probably looked at the Portuguese league, looked at the physicality of it, looked at actually the way that football is played there, and thought, there's value for money in this league. I don't think it's a coincidence that they've brought in Diaz, and it looks like now they're about to bring in another player from that league in Darwin Nunez. And you can bet your bottom dollar that Liverpool are looking at things like XG and players that are outscoring theirs. Darwin Nunez scoring 26 off an XG of 15.73 is sensational. If he can do that next year for Liverpool, he is going to score quite a large number of goals. The next reason is quite a simple one, really. It's just his pace. I think just looking at how big, how fast, how strong he is. And again, I'll go back to it. I feel like he's quite aesthetically similar to Erling Haaland. There are a lot of things about their game that are quite different. But actually, just in terms of how they look aesthetically, I think Jurgen Klopp will be looking at this guy and just thinking, I can turn you into a monster. If you think about the fact that Diaz to his left, Salah to his right, if you've got an equally pacey Darwin Nunez going down the middle as well, I think this is beautiful for Jurgen Klopp. So one of the reasons I think is just his pure pace. And then the final reason, if we move through to it straight away, is his work rate. You think of any of those Liverpool forwards, you think of Bobby Firmino when he was in his prime, you think of Mane to the left, Salah to the right, all of them work so hard. So if you're going to come in and be a Liverpool striker or a Liverpool forward, you're going to need to work hard. You've seen Luis Diaz has come in and done that. You can see him tracking back off the ball, running up and down that left-hand side. I think Darwin Nunez has shown at Benfica that he is willing to put the work in. You see it's reflected here in FM22. He's got 18 work rate, and I think that is a vital metric for Jurgen Klopp to be looking at. And again, that's why they've chosen to bring him in this summer. Those then are the reasons why I think Liverpool have gone for Darwin Nunez this summer. There are some drawbacks to him, and there are some cons that maybe we need to look out for. I was looking at his retaining possession stats, and they're not particularly good. In a Liverpool team, though, in a Klopp team, though, again, I'm going to go back to it. I just feel like he's going to back himself to turn Nunez into a monster. And if he's going for him, in Klopp, I trust, to be honest. He doesn't miss very often in terms of transfers, nor does that Liverpool recruitment team. So I think we could be on the verge of seeing something very special here as he joins Liverpool. Will that be reflected in FM22, though, as we go and do our simulation now? I've set up the team. I've stuck him up front. We're going to go and do 5 seasons. I'm not really going to influence this in too many ways. We're just going to let it run for 5 seasons and find out what happens to Darwin Nunez at Liverpool. Let's go. And there we have it. Our 5 years have now been completed, simulated until the 31st of May, 2027. Let's find out what became of Darwin Nunez in this simulation. He's at Manchester City in 2027. Now, that wasn't what I was expecting to happen here. I was expecting him to at least... Well, I wasn't expecting him to be at Manchester City. Let's see. I mean, he went from Liverpool to City. He only played 25 games for Liverpool. Right, I don't necessarily think this is going to be how his Liverpool career pans out. But let's just see how he's done at Man City then. So after I moved him, which has gone down as a free, he played 1 season at Liverpool. He scored 9 goals, 13 goals in all competitions, 2 assists, 7.15, respectable. Not exactly prolific, though, for Liverpool in that season. Then he didn't play. I mean, then the second season, he moved to City for £43 million and played 3 games. Then 10 games, 6 goals in 10 games, which is actually quite good in the Premier League there. 8 goals the season after. Then most recently, in the 5th season of our simulation, he scored 11 goals, 13 all comps, over a 7 average rating. That's not the career that I was expecting Darwin Nunez to actually have gone and have. Let me just check his profile. He has improved as a player. Look, if you have a look at this here, the one thing that kind of stood out for me in at the start of our simulation here was that he had, I think, 8 decisions. Now they're now up to 11. He still looks like a really good player at 27 years old. He's on 150k a week here at Man City. He's only a squad player though. Let's have a look at his milestones and see how he did in terms of winning things. First season at Liverpool, he won the Community Shield. He did get into the overall best 11 for the end of that season and the Liverpool seasonal best 11. Then he moved to City from there. Bought by Man City for 36.5, rising to 43.5 million pounds. Won the FA Cup in his first season. Then the Carabao Cup. Then the Premier League. Then the Champions League. Okay, so he's been quite successful at City already here in 2025. Community Shield. Club World Cup as well. So he's kind of won everything in 2025 there with City. Then the Carabao Cup. Then the Premier League again. Community Shield. Premier League again. Okay, he's had a pretty good time of it, even if he hasn't really played that many games in this time. So not exactly what we would expect to see happen in real life for Darwin Nunez. I think on this occasion, we might say that FM maybe got this one wrong. At least I'm hoping so as a Liverpool fan. Let me know what you think it's going to go like for Darwin Nunez at Liverpool. How do you predict he does? Do you think he'll be able to adapt to the English game and do well here in the Premier League? Or do you think he might well struggle? Let me know in those comments down below. And if you have enjoyed today's video and you like this type of thing, make sure you do subscribe to the channel because there is plenty more where this came from very, very soon. If you've enjoyed this video and you're still here watching it, because you must have enjoyed it because you're still here watching it, leave a like on the video too because it pushes it out for a wider audience as well. That though is where we'll leave it for today. Thank you very much for watching. Most importantly, have a lovely rest of your day. I'll catch you very soon. Bye-bye.